Hello everyone, witam wszystkich. Witam w live, który jest teraz robiony na innym programie, więc to powinno oznaczać, że już tym razem, ja wiem, że mówię to za każdym razem, ale tym razem naprawdę będzie to dobrej jakości stream. I hope this is actually going to be a good quality stream. This time I changed my software and it should be all good now. Tak, więc moim celem jest stworzenie społeczności twórców, ludzi, którzy po prostu chcą tworzyć i spotykać się tutaj regularnie, kilka razy w tygodniu i po prostu utworzyć wokół tych godzin takie po prostu społeczność prawdziwych ludzi, dlatego bardzo mi zależy na tym, żebyście pisali komentarze, pisali co robicie, zadawali pytania i dzięki temu będzie nam łatwiej stworzyć prawdziwą taką relację. So the purpose of this stream is to create a community of people who create together. And that's why it's so important for you to comment and write, ask questions, share what you're doing, and through that we are going to be able to create a community. Więc, wow. Zanim zaczniemy, tak jak zawsze, chcę zrobić krótką modlitwę, aby uświęcić to miejsce i sprawić, że ono się stanie takie bardziej uduchowione i głębsze i prawdziwie dotknięte taką energią duchową. Niech ten czas spędzony tutaj będzie owocny. Niech będzie nam dane doświadczenie ducha, inspiracji i twórczości. Niech przemawia przez nas nieskończona siła wszechświata i moc kreacji. Więc zaczynamy. I koniecznie piszcie w komentarzach, co tu robicie, jak się znaleźliście, czy też tworzycie. No, więc zaczynamy. Ja będę tak od czasu do czasu coś mówić. Będę może też sobie coś tutaj oglądać na iPadzie, czy też słuchać na iPadzie. I oczywiście jestem bardzo otwarta na pytania i właśnie rozmowy z Wami. Ale generalnie głównie będę siedzieć tutaj i rysować, tworzyć. Bardzo mi miło, że ludzie dołączają. Koniecznie piszcie, kim jesteście i co tu robicie. Ja sobie włączę. Tak, nie.
awakening the chakras. Today we'll be covering the second chakra, the sacral chakra. Svadhisthana, the church of Smyrna, which is the color orange and located in the prostate in men or the uterus in women. Accordingly, the chakra very much somewhat blossoms when we hit puberty and new creative parts of ourselves open up. You know how teenagers commonly change during this time in their appearance, voice, character, personal preferences. Well, this is their sexual, creative nature manifesting into who they are, or more precisely, where their soul is at, which is a sort of accumulation of calm and energy throughout their existence beyond this physical plane. As we talk about sexual energy in this episode, let's just be clear about something. There is no real difference between sexual energy and personal creative energy. Okay? Understand and contemplate that they are ultimately the same thing. Our sexual primal intelligence, which is the sacral chakra, is really our most powerful, efficient, and fastest form of intelligence, intuiting information quickly. You see, we have the intellectual center, the instinctive center, the emotional center, but we also have the sexual center, which is more powerful than all of them. Hence why we're able to be highly creative and artistic through this center. For example, we don't usually see people who are stereotypically dry intellectuals as creative people, right? But more on this later. And remember, this chakra is also located in the stomach region. Our stomach is essentially a thinking brain. Science has proven that there's around 500 million neurons in the stomach. Since this chakra is intimately tied to sexual energy and also mastering our emotions and astral projection, this is where things start to get more interesting. Okay? The root chakra was all about our physical, material existence and how we get bound up in the circus of life. But this next chakra is where we begin to sense our divine forces at an instinctive level, in a more sensual way. We learn to harmonize. The stomach is essentially a thinking brain. Science has proven that there's around 500 million neurons in the stomach. Since this chakra is intimately tied to sexual energy and also mastering our emotions and astral projection, this is where things start to get more interesting. Okay? The root chakra was all about our physical, material existence and how we get bound up in the circus of life. But this next chakra is where we begin to sense our divine forces at an instinctive level, in a more sensual way. We learn to harmoniously dance with God, so to speak. So this episode will probably be a bit longer than the others, since I want to cover emotions, sexual energy, astral projection, and dissolving the ego through transcendental psychology, through meditation. So there's going to be a lot of information. If you ever need to come back to review certain parts, there's timestamps in the description, as with all of these episodes. I also got a new microphone, so I should sound clearer, especially when I'm demonstrating mantras, which there'll be many of. Let me know if I sound better. Okay, so as I mentioned in the previous episode, if one is stuck at the root chakra, too concerned with their earthly life, it can be significantly difficult to sense or directly intuit spiritual reality. However, paradoxically, the sacral chakra is where we begin to start to get on the verge of sensing divinity by embracing our physical life, but not in a mechanical, unconscious way, in a transcendental way. We begin to feel something different in our lives, something otherly, something beyond all of the materiality and endless narratives of physical understanding. This chakra embraces our life by having the ability, having the power to fully harness our physical, material existence in all its ways and forms, denying nothing, pure passion for life. As we've been exploring, it's necessary to do this, to love our life, have passion in our life, to be aligned intensely in many spiritual systems specifically teach to renounce all sense pleasures, right? So how do we embrace life if we shouldn't embrace our senses? Our senses are the medium through which we experience reality. So there's a middle way of understanding all of this, which we'll explore. You see, we have one side, one extreme that says sense pleasures are bad, and society saying enjoy all these sense pleasures without a care in the world, consume everything, gratify yourself. The reality is neither side has the ability to master the senses. That's the crux of the teaching here, to master the senses. We don't want to get lost in this duality of good and bad, of acceptance or denial. We have to find a middle path. So similar to what I said about the root chakra being very basic and simple, that's also because the first chakra is the number one, which has significance here. Now, if we look at chakra number two, we'll know that the number two has strong connotations of duality, and thus this sacral chakra is defined by our full spectrum of dualistic human emotions: drama, sadness, fear, confusion, anxiety, happiness, excitement. All have their respective opposites, right? One day you feel happy, the next you feel sad. It's these forces that we want to master. We are all, in some way, governed or controlled by our emotions, right? Our emotions are one of the most difficult things for us to deal with. Yet, we're only on the second chakra in this series, so do you see how enormous the spiritual path is, how deep awakening goes, and how much work needs to be done, and how much potential we have? Learning to master our emotions is like learning to become a powerful magician or something, because this is something very challenging to do. To work against forces that arise within us isn't easy, and it's certainly not something we're used to doing, and society doesn't teach us how to do this at all. At best, we're given a therapist, or worse, some medication to numb the balance or try and balance some hormones. Of course, such things can never treat issues at their roots. So we saw how the root chakra gets conditioned, trapped, and lost, right? Well, let's see how our sacral chakra gets imbalanced, or more precisely, how we as consciousness get trapped in this energy center. Now, as the root chakra was depicted as the element of earth, this chakra is the element of water. With that in mind, in order to understand this energy center in a different way, other than just intellectually, I want you to visualize a large body of water, a deep lake, okay? It's perfectly placid, very still, not even one ripple. Now, you can do this more formally if you like. Take a few deep breaths, relax, close your eyes, allow your imagination to unfold and see a large lake in your mind's eye. This is exercising the third eye, okay, in a conscious way. Okay, so just allow your visualization process to unfold naturally. Don't control too much, just trust your mind to do this for you. Now ask the lake this question: what does peacefulness, serenity, and calm look like? The lake looks still, quiet, and perhaps there's sunny weather above, right? Beautiful. Everything is okay. We have clarity. We can hear ourselves think. There is peace, beauty, inspiration from this glistening, warm, turquoise lake. Now keep that image of this lake in your imagination and let's contemplate the word emotion. The word emotion has its origins in the word agitation. Accordingly, let's begin to add some vibrations, some agitations of emotions to the water, okay? We may see this as some ripples happening as the water becomes agitated, okay, because of emotion. Now, let your imagination run free with the thought of what would irritation look like represented in the lake? A state of being irritated, okay? See it. What would happen? Now, what would disgust look like? Is the lake clean? How does it form? What does the environment around it look like? Okay? What does anger look like now? about violent rage? What does the land around the water look like? Is the water hot? Is it steaming? Evaporating, killing everything within it? What does depression look like? What does fear look like? Okay, so let everything settle. Now think of calm, balance, serenity, purity again. Okay? Now, what does happiness look like in the lake? Perhaps there are swans, fish, lots of vegetation. Now, don't just think of happiness and calm, but imbue the lake with something more magical, transcendental. Imbue it with spiritual ascension on the level of that of Christ or Buddha. What would the lake look like now? Would the water rise into the air, perhaps form beautiful geometric patterns, creating a heavenly realm around you, a water city maybe? How would the water feel when you touch it? How does it taste if you drink it? Okay, so we're playing around with emotions there. Were some emotions worse than others? Well, we're not saying that emotion is bad. It is part of our nature. We need the waters of emotion because it is a powerful body of water-like conductive intelligence. Remember that most of the physical body, according to science, is water. So we need this, which sort of powers our energy and creates a conductive charge within us. And even the element of earth, our root chakra, needs water, right? Or else things become dry and desolate, and things aren't able to conduct, to connect. We even call certain people dry, right, when we feel they have no substance. So we have to contemplate deeply and ask ourselves, what kind of water do I have within? What kind of fluctuations does it make? What kind of water is nourishing my system? How does it taste? Do I find joy and pleasure in it? Or is it poisoning me? Is my way of being healing me? Don't answer intellectually to yourself. Learn to feel the answer energetically, directly. That's what this chakra is all about, learning to feel. Okay? As it says in the Bible, whosoever drinks from the waters of pure life shall never thirst again, meaning never become greedy or wanting or relying on external reality for spiritual nourishment. You become your own fountain of youth, fountain of life. And this is also the original symbolism of the ritual of baptism, which the intention is to purify our inner waters, our emotion, or on a deeper level, our sexual energy. So it's clear that if we want to progress spiritually, we need some form of purity and serenity imbued into our inner lake of emotion. And not just to have it calm, but to have more water, and not just let it sit placidly in the lake, but have it electrified and have the power and the ability to move it and organize it in any way we need, and not let external circumstances and situations determine the energy of our inner emotional lake. What happens when we let external reality unconsciously agitate our lake? We become imbalanced and can't fully embrace our senses, right? We drown in emotion and negative thoughts, unable to actually use our energies and use our senses directly in the present moment. This is such an important ability to have because our world is full of darkness. Just go and turn on the news right now. Are we going to let the deep limitations of this world freely determine our inner state? It's imperative that we break free from them. So this is similar to how Moses in the Bible had the ability to master and move the water. And as Swami Sivananda said, he who concentrates at this chakra, Svadhisthana, and meditates on Devata, God, has no fear of water. He has perfect control over the water element. He gets psychic powers, intuitional knowledge, and the perfect control over his senses. He has full knowledge of the astral entities: karma, lust; krodha, anger; lobha, greed; moha, covetousness or ignorance; mada, pride; matsarya, jealousy, and other impure qualities are completely annihilated. The yogi, the spiritual practitioner, becomes the conqueror of death. So this is all about mastering our emotions, but maybe you don't feel you have any emotions to master. Perhaps you feel your inner lake is dry, that you're somewhat depleted. It's a quite common concern that people say they struggle to connect emotionally. I get emails like that sometimes. Perhaps they're stuck in the root chakra, or similar to what we visualize, and they only connect to feelings of hot, boiling anger, or maybe playing with the emotional sexual water so much that it becomes overused, overheated, and evaporates, and therefore that energy is not able to disperse throughout other centers of the body. Now, these concerns are usually more common in men than women. Of course, I'm just stereotyping, but in this generalization, you can see some expressions of imbalance in the sexes, about how men are obsessed with sex and thus commonly get stuck in the root chakra due to sexual addiction or other addictions, and they struggle to develop strong, intimate emotions. Yet they usually have a bit more clarity with their intellect due to not having distractions and confusions and inner turmoil that emotions usually come with. But since men aren't emotionally intelligent, a lot of them develop kind of insensitive or illogical reasonings, let's say. And for women, well, women are in a way naturally superior to men because they're usually less sexually obsessed and thus are actually able to use those energies and are able to naturally migrate to the sacral chakra in their womb more easily. However, there's so much emotion, it becomes difficult to deal with or control, often succumbing to emotional decisions that aren't necessarily logical, and the man is looking at his wife like, what is wrong with you, while she's stuffing her face with chocolate ice cream, but overall, women are naturally, biologically, a bit more wired for emotional intelligence, which men can learn from. And of course, women can learn from having mental clarity out of the dimension of emotion. So this is just one example of how these polarities can balance each other in some situations. Now, of course, don't shoot me. Clearly, this is just an unfair stereotype and generalization of genders that obviously does not apply to everyone. Some men are over-emotional and some men are over-intellectual. But you can perhaps see some truth to what I just said in your own experience and try to contemplate, where are you at? Okay? Now, in more simplistic terms, this chakra is really about enjoyment. And in order to enjoy ourselves deeply, we also need to release guilt. What does guilt look like in our inner lake? It's constricting, right? There's a lack of expression. And what does it look like if we're holding on to pain from the past? Perhaps we've held a grudge against someone or hated someone for a long time. And what does it look like to let go of that pain? To have that release? What does it look like to forgive? I have an episode all about freeing yourself through forgiveness, if you want to listen to that. And interestingly, if you have dreams of water, this commonly symbolizes our emotional state of mind. Perhaps in the dream, the water is hot because of frustration in waking life, or it's muddy because of too much negative emotions, or maybe it's raining because of sadness. Clear water may indicate that you have spiritual clarity. That's a good dream. Maybe flooding could be a sign of overwhelming emotions. Or maybe walking on water means you've achieved some control over your emotions, just how Jesus famously walked on water. So, in reality, any skill
Na razie będę kończyć. Bardzo mi miło było z Wami dzisiaj spędzić czas. To jest... Tutaj, jeżeli dobrze nie widzicie, to możecie wejść na mojego Instagrama i tam są zdjęcia wszystkich moich prac. Bardzo mi miło, że dołączyliście i do zobaczenia w następnym live'ie.